So today we're going to continue to look at what's going to happen if World War II happens in the modern day. This video is going to be very unrealistic. All the events that are going to happen are purely fictional. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. But yeah, now let's get right into the video. In our previous video, we saw that all of the German forces were on the border with France. After all these invasions, it seems as if they are ready for a French invasion, which now they declare war on France. And we can see that right away the Italians also join in. Things are not looking good for the French here. We can see that because the German forces were already prepared, they now storm into France, securing a lot of regions. The Italians also start to push in, making some gains in the south. They also push in and take all of Corsica. The Germans blitzkrieg through these regions, now pushing towards Paris. They also push in from these parts, and the French military still does not know what's happening because it was a surprise invasion. The Italians in the south distract the French, and because of a two-front war, the French are overwhelmed right now. More and more troops arrive from Germany. Eventually we can see that these two armies meet up, and now one giant army is pushing towards Paris. These guys push in, and eventually we can see that they were able to capture the capital city of Paris. This was a huge blow to the French morale. The Italians continue their push in the south, securing the coastal regions of France. The Germans also continue their push in, now being able to encircle a lot of these northern parts of France. The troops up in the north now escape to the UK, after which the remaining northern parts go ahead and surrender. And again, the Germans push in, cutting off the western parts of France from the mainland. Again, the troops in the west now escape to the UK. These parts also go ahead and surrender, and now the Germans continue their push down. They try to secure all of the coastal regions of France. The Italians do the same until the French are pretty much disconnected from everyone by sea. The Germans continue their push into the country. They secure a lot of regions, but with the destruction of most of the French armies, the remaining French parts go ahead and surrender. And after this, a whole lot of things are going to change. But let's first look at a peace negotiation here. In a peace negotiation, we can see that France got split up between the Italians and the Germans. But after this invasion, a lot of the European countries are going to stand up against the Germans. And at this point, the Americans are also thinking of joining the war, as the Germans took out a very major ally over here. Even right now, nothing significant happens. Although down in the south, we can see that the Italians, after preparing for a very long time, now decide to declare war on the Greeks. Because as I had said, they kind of want to restore the Mediterranean thing. And so now let's see. We can see that the Italian navy now has arrived on the coast of Greece. They start things off by making a naval landing in Crete, where they push around and they secure all of these regions until the entire island falls. They also capture Rhodes, and we can see that they make a naval landing right next to the capital city of Athens. Eventually they push in and capture the capital city. The Greek forces arrive on the front lines. They try to push back the Italians but are unable to do so. The Italian troops now push up, securing a lot of these regions. We can see that with the superior German navy, they make another naval landing up in the north, securing Thessaloniki. These troops now push up, destroying the remaining Greek armies and meeting up. They cut off the Thracian parts of Greece from the mainland, which then go ahead and surrender. The troops in the south continue their push until most of the Greek forces were destroyed, and with that the remaining parts of Greece go ahead and surrender. And this was a decisive victory for the Axis alliance. We can see that in a peace negotiation, all of Greece got completely annexed by the Italian forces. And yeah, that kind of happened in the south. Now we're going to be looking at Japan, who in our previous video had invaded Taiwan and South Korea. They didn't do much after that, but now they're going to be continuing with their invasions. We can see that after a lot of preparations, they decide to declare war on the Philippines, and things might not be looking very good for the Philippines here. So let's see. We can see that the Japanese navy now has arrived on the coast of the Philippines. They pretty much secure the coastal regions. They finally make a naval landing in the northern parts, where now they start to push around. The Filipino forces do make it to the front lines, but are unable to push back the Japanese forces. We can see that the island of Palawan was also taken out. They also make another naval landing down in the south. Now the Philippines is fighting a two-front war, but eventually a very coordinated attack is now conducted on Manila, the capital city of Philippines. Unfortunately, the Philippines did lose their capital. Most of the armies were up in the north, who now go ahead and surrender because they were encircled. The remaining Filipino troops down in the south also get slaughtered, as they are no match to the Japanese, who have a far better technology and way more troops. They continue with this island hopping until the entire government falls and the remaining parts of the Philippines go ahead and surrender. And this was a decisive victory for the Japanese Empire. Although because of this, the US now really wants to join the war because the Japanese are expanding in the Pacific, the Germans are taking out their allies in Europe, but even right now the US has not decided to join yet. In all of this time frame, the Germans were developing a pretty formidable navy, which got so good that at some that point, it got even better than the Chinese and the Russian Navy, but not as good as the US Navy. And with this very well developed Navy, we can see that the Germans make a very bold move and they decide to declare war. And now they decide to declare war on the UK, who is the closest ally to the US. The Italians also join in. Yeah, at least as of right now, things are not looking good for the UK, as the German Navy was more superior, the German military was also superior, and the UK is right now on their own. So let's see. But starting off, we can see that there is a clash between the German and the UK's Navy, and this battle continues for months. Eventually, the German Navy does overwhelm the UK's Navy, and the UK's Navy was completely destroyed. After this destruction, we can see that the Germans make multiple naval landings on the island. These were all the regions where they make the naval landings. We can see that the main goal of these two armies are to get to London and secure the capital city. The troops in the west also continue their push, securing a lot of regions in the UK. The UK is desperate to fight back the Germans, but are overwhelmed by the German numbers, as the Germans have a lot of troops. The Germans make another naval landing in the northern parts of Ireland, which was a little bit undefended, as the UK's main goal is to defend the main island, because of which we can see that Northern Ireland fell. Huge blow to the UK's morale. Another naval landing was made in Scotland, and the UK is now fighting a three-front war. These two armies try to push in, and they try to get to London and capture the capital city, but London is right now very heavily defended. Although because of that defense, the UK loses a lot of land in the west, and the Germans continue their push in. Even in the north, they now start a push down, trying to cut off the northern parts of the UK from the mainland, which they do so successfully, and the northern parts are now kinda on their own. But eventually, after even more German troops arrive on the front lines, the Germans do push in and were able to capture the capital city of London. And with this, the UK loses all hope. As these armies meet up, a lot of these encircled regions go ahead and surrender. Some of the major cities were also captured. With all of this death and destruction, we can see that the remaining parts of the UK surrender, and this was another decisive victory for the Axis. As for right now, they took out the only major remaining threat in Europe. This comes at a cost, and the cost is, we can see that the US is now preparing for war. They have not declared war on the Germans right now, but they are preparing very much. These guys have a far superior military and navy. But yeah, now let's take a look at a peace negotiation here. In a peace negotiation, we can see that all of England was completely annexed. Scotland and Northern Ireland are now vassal states to Germany. And yeah, after this peace negotiation, we can see that a lot of troops from the US now enter Spain. Their navy has also arrived on the coast of Germany, whose navy is ready to defend. The US is about to declare war, and at this very grave moment, we can see that the Russians now join the Axis. Things just got very hard for the US, but we can see that they still declare war, with most of their troops now being in Spain and their navy being on the coast of France. In order to find out what happens in our next video, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.